Hey folks, we're the hosts of Comic Sans, the podcast about comics for those who are sans knowledge.
Comic Sans is a show for people who are new to comics, like me.
Or people who love them, like me. You can listen to our brand new third season or binge the first two right now.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what Leslie's about. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Lez Hang Out, the podcast where tonight is the night where two become one.
I need some love like I never need love before.
Gonna make love to you. What? Sorry.
That
What? What's happening?
Every time. Okay, hold on, Spice Girls. So every time I hear that song, it makes me laugh so fucking hard because I used to sing it so with my chest.
Yeah.
And every time I think about it, I'm like, I was young. And then I look, that album came out when I was 4 years old.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think I was listening to it that far out from its release. So I could have been probably no more than 6 years old. And To Become One was my favorite song because when you looked in the little pamphlet, it was Baby Spice's song. And Baby Spice was my favorite. And so then I was like, Baby Spice, my favorite. This song must be my favorite.
Why is my first and foremost reaction to this? Of course, Baby Spice
I know.
is your favorite.
Everyone knows.
You've always had a type, Ellie. Anyways, from the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who've been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This Week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. In Season 8, we are continuing to release our Patreon bonus episodes. Our last episode was on Dix the Musical, which was a wild, wild ride. So if you want to listen to that, you can do it at bit.ly/lespatreon.
In other podcasting news, so here's the thing. We have our trip to France. The resounding feedback that we have been getting from a lot of people is that they want to come. They need more time to save up for it, which is totally valid. Ellie and I have been planning this for a long time, and we wanted to make it happen. But also, we want people to be able to come on the trip. So we are going to be postponing it and just pushing it back. Same trip, same plans, same locations. What we want to know from you, we're going to be running some polls, or you can email us or DM us, is would it make more sense? Do people need time to save if we push it to fall 2025 or to spring 2026 and just sort of push it a year later, give people more time to plan it? So we are totally up for either one. We can make either one work. What we want to hear from is what would work for you, especially if you've already reached out to us to tell us that you really wanted to come and it was just a little too short of a time to plan this one. So reach out, let us know, because we are so excited and we are going to be doing the trip. We just want some feedback. So those are the choices: fall 25, spring 26. That's when we're going to France, decided by you, our listeners, and possible travelers. So let us know.
In the greater Les universe, all kinds of gay musical things have been happening lately. Most recently, there has been some viral clips of Butch Wicked. There's a very gay version of Wicked, which I find funny because it's like they changed one freaking word. Wicked is gay, people. So yes.
It's gay. It been gay.
But I appreciate that they're really leaning into the gayness of it. And the loathing clip in particular is so amazing.
Incredible. If you haven't seen it yet, look it up.
You need to watch it.
Also, Jane Wickline back at it on SNL with, I think, the funniest song I've ever seen in my life. It is Jane Wickline singing as Sabrina Carpenter about why nobody
Thinks
starts
she's
gay
gay.
rumors
Yeah.
about her, despite all the very gay
shit
stuff
she
she
does.
keeps doing.
Yeah.
And I think it is so funny. It's funny to the point that I'm literally pitching Ellie doing a full episode just diving into this song. But if you haven't watched it, you should see it.
So, Lee, why do you think we don't give a quick?
No, I don't do it now.
All right.
Don't ruin our
I
episode.
need to know. All
I
right.
know. That's what I'm saying. I want to dive. I have so many thoughts, Ellie. It would be too long.
Okay, I got it.
The this week
Really
segment.
teasing the listeners.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. If you want to make it happen, email Ellie and tell her, yes, do this episode.
Great. Also, in the Greater Lez universe, Chappell Roan, Lady Gaga, and Dua Lipa are doing a special carpool karaoke Christmas episode, which is just like gift for the gays. I mean, those
Yeah.
three,
Also,
the triumvirate, you know?
gift for the gays in that Cordon's not in it. So, let's be honest.
That is so funny. That is actually so funny. Wow, you really...
No one wants to watch James Corden sing next to Chappell Roan.
You really went for it, and I love that for you.
I'm right, and I should say
Dead. Well, sorry, James Corden, and also not sorry, but that's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Alien Lee. We are so excited to bring you episode 10 of season 8, Urge to Merge.
The lesbian urge to merge.
The lesbian urge to merge. How old are we?
As we all know from the first episode of The L Word.
When did that come out? I mean, good Lord, if
Children.
we're going to talk about, forget Spice Girls. When did L Word?
2004. Yep.
Wow.
I know.
No, in January 2004. So it's been over 20 years that we have all long known the lesbian urge
Urge to merge. Yes.
And Ellie, tell me a little bit about, you pitched this topic.
Yes.
So, I mean, we've had something sort of along these lines on our list for a long time, but
I just feel like, okay, so I am currently in a new relationship, and the urge to merge is strong. And I'm just, it's just quite strong. And I also feel like this is like a very lesbian stereotype, right? And then when you're in it and you're like feeding right into it, you're like, of course I am. And
Yeah.
it's making me laugh and I want to talk about it. So I will say,
you're like, this is normal and natural. Yes.
yes. And
Yeah.
it's making me laugh. And also I'm trying to justify it. Like, it's totally normal and fine. And so I found it funny. So my girlfriend sent me this TikTok and I just want to read it because this is really like the crux of what I would like to talk about. Okay.
Okay.
And here's what the TikTok says. What if two women wanting to spend all of their time together is not codependency or merging, but rather the true expression of what women are like in a relationship, which is deep and caring and dependent on each other and passionate? And what if it's actually men who are avoidant and fear connection and so like to pathologize and label women in loving, passionate relationships as codependent or somehow wrong? And so I sort of want to talk about, like, we laugh about this codependency. Codependency is maybe the wrong word, which I like to talk about, but like this like desire to constantly be with your partner
Yeah.
is like always talked about as like, no, you shouldn't do that. Like, you need to make sure you like have separation between the two of you, and like you're always have separate interests, and like you like make sure you keep space for yourself, which is helpful for certain things. And also I do think
Ellie's
it
like,
is
it's
normal.
helpful for certain people, but also it's wrong, and I'm about to tell you why.
No, I don't think it's wrong, but I don't think I think both are not wrong. I think some people thrive in a relationship where they're more independent of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And some people really like to be in a space where like they share everything about their lives with someone.
And those types of people, respectively, are straight people and lesbians. You're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, okay? Lesbians
Let's dive in.
do it differently. And I think it's
We're built different.
I think it's worth talking about.
Okay.
And then we can talk about the pros and cons of the merging.
Yeah.
But I did find that to be an interesting take because I feel like for the most part, the narrative is like, you have to be careful about like being too close to someone. And it's like, but what if you actually like really just care about this person and want to be close to them? Like, why is that a bad thing if you both want to be close? Like, I feel like the problem comes if like one person is like, I really want to spend all this time with you. And the other person's like, no, I don't really want to. And you're like pushing the boundaries of what they want. But if two people in a relationship want to spend all their time together, I think that's perfectly great. And that's what we're talking about today.
And that's
listeners.
That's what's happening on Glee.
Lee, what are your thoughts? Like when you let me just ask you. When you first started dating Kelsey,
Yes.
how much time did you spend apart versus together?
None and all. I mean,
exactly.
And we still do.
Exactly.
Here's the thing. Like, I'm right there with you.
Because we're lesbians.
Yes. This episode is just gonna be Ellie and I putting ourselves on blast.
It's fine. That's what I'm saying. I literally
the entire time.
I told Lee before this episode, like Bailey, who's my girlfriend, she was like, your listeners are gonna be like, you're a psychopath.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what?
That's okay.
Some of them are, and I know a bunch of you are like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
We're right. We know we're right. We don't need you all to tell us. Okay, we're here to tell ourselves and each other that we're right.
Yes.
And here's how we're right, Ellie.
If you love someone, you just want to become part of them. That's it. You just want to put glue on your, glue on your belly button and stick together.
It is a normal, natural human urge, right? So here's the thing. I think that Kelsey and I both are very much the type of people who just like spending time with each other. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
Okay? That's normal and good. Here's what I do think is funny. When you pitched this and when you pitched that specific, the TikTok that you sent, right? The specific quote about sort of like maybe it's men who have created this idea that like this is codependency and it's weird and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I have the most vivid memory of a specific conversation when I was in graduate school. There's another girl who was in my lab in grad school. We both got married while we were in graduate school, and I just remember having this conversation one time about there was something where she was like, oh, I wanted to watch this movie and like that's great because it was like football night, so he's watching football and then I can watch this movie that I wanted to watch like in my room or something. And I just remember having such like this just immediate thing where I was like, weird.
Exactly.
Because that context, I mean, especially at the time, like, was just so non-existent where it's like we're constantly having problems where it's like, oh, I want to watch this thing, but I'm on a plane.
Wait.
You know, I'm on a plane and I can't watch it.
Yeah,
without Kelsey because that's a thing we're doing together. And then so then you'll be like, I know, I'll start watching a different show while I'm on the plane and I'll watch it just by myself. And then I start it and I'm like, oh, Kelsey would love this. I should save it. And I remember having that conversation with her and being like, this must be the difference between being married to a man and being married to a woman, is I was like, there are not that many things that we do completely separately like that. Like, that doesn't happen a lot, you know?
And I think, too, like, you can have different interests, like, as women.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, there could be a show that you would watch that Kelsey would not watch.
Like, currently, Yellow Jackets. She watched season 1. She said, it's not for me. And that has now become, if I want to watch it, I have to find my own time to do it, right? We have slowly found the few edge cases, boundaries
this
the overlaps.
This podcast is your me time.
Yeah, although she then does have to listen to all of it, so, you know.
She doesn't have to, but that is not...
Yes.
Hi, Kelsey. But it is like, oh my God, like last weekend, me and Bailey went to New York, and it's like, I think it also is just like dating someone who's so similar to you.
Yeah.
When you're like, okay, so I get to do all the things that I want to do, but like you also are here. That's amazing. Like, why wouldn't you want to share the things that you both love together? My point is, I feel like we pathologize things too much, that it's like, okay, like, why is it a bad thing that, like, I want to go to New York and watch a musical with my girlfriend who also loves to watch a musical? And, like, then when we get back, I want to spend the rest of the week with her. And also, on the flip side of it, I do think it is still important to have other friends and, like, have other interests and, like, things in life. Like, I think you can have a little bit more of a nuanced view of it while also being like, but the ratio is, like, 90-10. And that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Well, here's what I think it's funny, because when you say pathologize it. Also, I just noticed that we're matching again.
Classic.
We're so
in
it's
sync.
called classic us. So what I'm curious is, how much do you think we do pathologize this, right?
I guess the question is, like, who is we? And I think that's, like, because I feel like lesbians are like,
and is it straight people?
I think it's straight people.
And men. And are, once again, straight women just sort of living a sad life?
Yes. But I'm like, but I feel like that's the thing. Like,
is actually this whole episode really just secretly Ellie being like, everyone should be gay because straight women have it the worst, men are terrible, and lesbians are just on top. Once again,
yes, on top. No,
if God hates us, why do we keep winning? Is that really the gist?
Or I'm saying, I think that, like, if you're in a straight relationship with you're a woman with a man who you, like, love and are obsessed with and want to do stuff with them all the time, I feel like in a straight world, people are like, huh. And to me, I'm like, oh, you guys are in a lesbian relationship. Congratulations.
Right.
Like, oh my God, you have the perfect straight relationship. So it's not necessarily straight people in general. And I think about this too, because, like, I sing at a lot of weddings, and I feel like you can tell the couples who, like, are quite heteronormative. Mm-hmm. I've been at a wedding where, like, I swear to God, I did not see the bride and groom together, like, the whole night. Like, he was outside smoking cigars with his friends. She was dancing with her friends on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, I'm sure they're happy with whatever situation they have. They're in their straight life. But I was like, I can't imagine.
The shade.
No, but I'm like, I can't imagine getting married. Like, this is, like, the day where you're supposed to be celebrating being in love with each other and not being, like, stuck to each other the entire night. And then you do see people who are together the whole night, and I'm like, it warms my heart that they have a lesbian straight relationship.
Yeah.
You know?
You're like, oh, you like each other.
Yeah,
how lovely for your marriage.
I feel like we pathologize. I think my point is, like, straight people and maybe just, like, heteronormative culture pathologizes liking your partner, ?
Yeah. It really does. I feel like I know we've talked about this on the podcast before, this idea that, like, it is sort of the straight norm. It is a very accepted straight norm to not want to spend time together, or to not enjoy spending time together, or to not like each other, really, right? Mm-hmm. This sort of idea of straight women who have, like, my best friend, my best girlfriend, I would do anything for her. Ugh, my husband.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's like, or when they're like, I wish I could date my best friend. And I'm like, you can.
It's free. You can do that.
You actually can.
There's no laws against it yet, okay? Mm-hmm. When's this episode coming out? Jesus.
Oh, gosh.
It's still 2024 when we're recording this. We're good. There's no laws against it, okay? Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I mean, I think it's especially true in the straight male-dominated spaces, you know, of this idea of, like, my wife, the old ball and chain, my old lady. Like, I mean, that gross thing, that sort of, it is just kind of everywhere. And I think the thing is even when you're not talking about the extremes, it is so much more common to find situations like the one that I described, where I'm like, these were two people who loved each other and enjoyed spending time together, but less.
Yes. That's the thing where I'm just like,
less. They did fewer things together because they had so many different different things, different
Yeah, because
interests,
men,
different hobbies,
because
men,
football,
sure.
because
Yeah.
sports, because man time. Well, and I think the
Yeah.
other thing is, like, you know, we also like tend to have similar friend groups when you're gay,
Yeah.
right? So it's like sometimes, at least for me, like me and Bailey have so many of the same friends. So it's like we're gonna, like, when we hang out with friends, we're just gonna hang out with our same group of friends. But then it's like I have friends from college. Like I hung out with my friend Alexa the other day, just the two of us, and like that was nice. You know what I mean? It's like not like it's like, I think the pathology of it is when you're like, I physically cannot do anything else.
Yeah.
Like,
But I do think there is something about the way that we, especially I feel like when people are in their first queer relationship, that I think we have this tendency, this kind of trained into us tendency to think that we are wanting to spend too much time together. Right?
Mhm.
I do think that happens. And
That's, I think, what I'm sort of feeling is
Yeah.
the like, is this too much question mark? And then you're like, why am I asking myself that? Like, I want to spend all my time with you and you want to spend all your time with me. So like, why are we questioning it? I think that's the societal piece.
Yeah. And it is. I think it is a societal piece. I think it's a little hard to get away from the way in which I think there has been a sort of co-opting of the term codependency, right? I mean, to be clear, we are not talking about the actual sort of pathological diagnosed what codependency is. We're talking about the codependency as it gets sort of wielded as a weapon against women, both straight women and queer women, I would say. But I think the fact that it does get wielded as such a thing against us, I think hurts queer women more. I think hurts queer relationships more because it's so much more prominent. It's so much more present, right? It's so much more real. The amount that when you have two people who want to spend all their time together and then you're both sitting there being like, but I shouldn't, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, but why not? Like, let's just enjoy spending all of our time together, right? Like,
but we've been trained in the ways of, you know, don't call them back right away. Oh, don't text them. Don't give them make them wait.
Exactly. I do feel like, I mean, that's a whole other thing. Because I'm talking about like when you're actually know that they're into you, right? Like you're dating, you're together.
Yeah.
But that's like the stuff we talked about even in The Night Before Christmas. Like the 8-hour dates and like the like but when you're like, yeah, I'm gay and it's normal, but also you're like, should I wait to text? Or like, is it weird that I'm just like, no, I'm obsessed with you? And it's honestly like refreshing though, when you start. I mean, it's been a long time since I came out and started dating, right? But I feel like I remember that feeling of like, oh, like I don't have to like play games anymore. What the hell?
Yeah.
You know, like I can literally just tell someone that I think they're cool and I want to date them, and like they're not gonna be like, nope, you know? Like,
what a concept.
What a concept. But I do think it is worth talking about. So like I wrote here the definition of codependency because I just think it's important. But it says this, that codependency is an excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner, typically one who requires support on account of an illness or addiction. So there's like a addiction piece of the codependency. There's also like the giver and the taker. And I feel like that part of the pathology of codependency is sort of what we're talking about, of like, if both partners enjoy each other's company and want to be together and are giving and taking in whatever even kind of split, then like it's not codependency, it's just a relationship. And why do we keep pushing codependency on lesbians?
Yeah.
Which is sort of the point of that TikTok of like, what if that's just like taking care of each other? Like, and then there's like a way in which, I don't even know if it's because of straight culture. I think there's also like, I feel like it's also part of our like modern dating culture, which has led us to be a bit more individualistic. And some of it is good, right? It's like the therapy kind of stuff where it's like, self-regulate. Like, your friends shouldn't have to like help you with your problems. You should be able to like self-regulate and take care of yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is like a yes and. You should be able to self-regulate. And you should also be able to ask someone for support if you need it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the same thing with this like codependency kind of thing, where it's like, yes, you should be able to do your own thing and like have your own interests, and also be in a relationship with someone where you like are asking for support, they're giving it to you, you give them support as well. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I think it's less codependency and like more just like, it's okay to be dependent on another person.
Yeah.
That's sort of part of being in a relationship.
Yeah, I agree. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk more about this.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast, Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's only one story. The Only One in the Room has a wide variety of guests, from prisoners to abuse survivors to swingers. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee that Only One in the Room will have a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone.
Hello, my name is Alison Larkin, and I'm a writer, comedian, and narrator and host of the Jane Austen podcast. This podcast brings Jane Austen's stories to the 21st century, along with commentary from me and conversations with fascinating people who all share a love of Jane Austen. And of course, we had to start with none other than Pride and Prejudice. So join me as we embark on a journey through some of the most wonderful stories I know. The Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin is available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
One other thing that I want to talk about that something you just said triggered this thought in my brain. What do we think of the fact that this whole concept of the lesbian urge to merge, right? And sort of the judgment associated with it did, I think, sort of enter a lot of the queer cultural zeitgeist with the L word. So how do we feel about a lesbian show kind of making fun of what we're presenting as sort of like, hey, actually, this is healthy and normal and fine?
Good question. You're saying the fact that like they had that whole thing where they were like, it's not okay to merge because we're talking about it in therapy. See, because I do feel like it is nuanced. And that's sort of what I was like, because I do feel like there are many actually codependent lesbian relationships.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially on the L word, the original series.
Especially on the L word. But I think it's the distinction between like And I think most of the codependency in lesbian relationships comes from feeling responsible for another person's emotional well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, in an unhealthy way. So, I don't know.
I guess I'm curious because I do think it's interesting. Here's the thing. Here's where my brain is at right now. So one of the things that I also did is I also looked up a thing about codependency. And one of the things on the page that I found about it that I did think was interesting, it's not directly about like the definition of codependency, but I thought this was interesting. There's a quote where it says codependency is a behavioral reaction that often develops in people who grow up in dysfunctional family systems. As children, we do not realize that the relationships we observe may not be normal. As a result, we learn to cope with the environment around us, often in ways that are ultimately unhealthy and follow us from childhood into adulthood. And to me, that's relevant in a couple ways. One, in the fact that I think a lot of queer people, as we've been saying in terms of the sort of self-pathologizing that we're trained to do, I think a lot of us grow up seeing only straight relationships and seeing the amount of time that straight people tend to want to spend together.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that it's always, I mean, again, every time we dive back into sort of the queer historical media selections, that I am curious about the effect that it had to have sort of one of the first biggest shows that centered lesbian relationships kind of make wanting to spend time with each other the butt of the joke.
Yes.
Right?
Well, and that's what I'm saying too. It's like, it's always, the L word made it a joke, but like, it's pretty much always a joke.
Yeah.
Like, we do, I feel like, even within our community, joke to each other about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. I feel like it is almost like, part of me is like, let's stop joking about it. And like, we can joke about it. And also, is that causing people to feel some type of way about like completely normal relational behavior?
What is a normal amount of time to want to spend together, Ellie?
I mean, I don't know, because that's what I'm saying. I feel a little crazy, but I'm like, I don't know, every day, all day? I don't know. I guess if you're asleep, but you're still I'm still in bed, so I don't know. I'm like, I got nothing. Let's see, how many hours are in a week?
There are 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week, which is 140 plus 28, which is 168 hours in a week.
Okay. Let me do some math here.
I'm so curious to hear what the math is.
Okay. 120 hours.
Okay. Is how much time you spent together this week?
Is how much is the ideal time together. Actually, I think it's more than that. But I was basically just subtracting 40 hours a week for working.
Okay, sure.
That's it. So 120 hours a week is a normal amount of time to me. Actually, maybe 100 hours. There's probably 20 hours in there. We're doing something else.
Yeah, you might need to poop. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
You might have to go to the bathroom, you're driving somewhere.
Yeah. Like to see each other.
Yeah. On your
travel time.
Commute time, But yeah, I'd say 100 hours feels right to me.
Fair enough. Okay.
What about you, Lee?
I mean, here's the thing. We spend a lot of our time together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And granted, I mean, we both have jobs, so, a decent part of that is sleeping, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like we need to stop being so hard on ourselves about it. I think I do wish that there was a way that we could, how do you affect the societal view of relationships that is largely dominated by straight men who, as we say frequently, just don't appear to like women that much.
I agree. I mean, I think it's just it is like social media and stuff like that. It's like, it is also still a joke, but to be fair, it makes me laugh so hard. But because I feel like it's a joke and they also are so obsessed with each other, there's this Instagram TikTok couple called Megan Married Megan. Have you seen them?
No.
They're like two butch lesbians who like they make like silly content, but like one of them is like when someone's like, you can't do everything with your wife, and then they're like mowing the lawn together. They're like using
like
a
on each other's shoulders.
yeah,
or something.
like they're like using like a spatula, like they're on the grill, like both flipping the burger like together with a spatula. You know what I mean? Like,
I love it,
and it's so funny to me. But also because I'm like, you can tell like they just love spending time together, and there's a million other people in this world who are just like them, who are queer couples, right? So I just think like, I think we accept this about ourselves. And just embrace it. Because also, like, what is the point of living on this earth if you don't spend time with the people that you care about?
So true. So true.
Why are you going to stop
our limited time on Earth, right?
Why am I going to stop myself from my 100 hours a week of happiness?
100 to 120. I mean, you know, rounding errors. I am curious, though. What are your thoughts on... Because I feel like the phrase urge to merge always means something else to me, too, which is sort of the tendency to become like each other.
Yes.
And I'm curious about your thoughts on that as well.
That one's so funny to me. I mean, I don't know, like, from my personal experience currently is sort of funny because I feel like we're already very similar, which is the point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it is what it is. But it is funny when you like all of a sudden are like, okay, now we're wearing the same clothes. And like, because now you're borrowing their clothes from like.
Yeah.
I do feel like that is one thing that's funny. And also I think we should somewhat try to push against, because I do feel, just because I feel like everyone should have their own individuality. Yeah. And I feel like this, maybe we talked about this maybe like a long time ago. I feel like when we had like our lesbian bed death episode, where I feel like you don't want to like lose yourself. Yeah. Like I feel like there's a difference between I am myself, I know myself, like I am my own individual person who really loves spending time with this other individual person.
Mm-hmm.
Versus
but at
like
the same time,
we have become a melting pot of like, if you invite me somewhere or if you invite my girlfriend somewhere, it's the same thing. They're exactly the same. Like I don't love that. Do you know what I mean?
I don't love that either, but what I do think about is have you seen Best in Show?
Yes.
Okay. You know how they do that thing in Best in Show where it's sort of this joke about like the dog owners and the dogs sort of
look like themselves,
each other, right? And just sort of this natural gravitation of that. I feel like there are also certain ways in which there is a part of this that is inevitable. Kelsey and I have been together for 17 years. There are certain things where you do just start to like talk more like each other, you know, because things just sort of become a part of your vocabulary, like your life vocabulary, especially when you spend so much time together, you know, where it's just like you sort of naturally start adopting the same
mannerisms
things,
and
like
phrases.
mannerisms and patterns, right? Phrases, things like that. And there's also things where it's just, you know, like I remember even when we started dating, like when we were in college, I remember when Kelsey was at Dartmouth and I used to go out and visit for the weekend, and you'd have things where, you know, it's like one of you would drive one way, like would drive the to visit for the weekend or something, and you'd get there and you'd both be wearing the same shirt because you'd have gone to a store together and been like, I like that shirt, I like that shirt, and you both buy the shirt, and then you show up and you're both wearing the shirt and you did not coordinate that morning, and you're like, well, you have to go change because I only brought so many clothes for the weekend, so it is decided like you can't wear it.
Yes.
Or like the same sweatshirt or the same something. Like that, where does that fall on our urge to merge scale?
No, I think that's hilarious. I think that's, but my point that you are making is, yes, I think it is inevitable. Like I definitely am picked up a bunch of Bailey's mannerisms, or like we'll say the same thing at the same time.
Yes, at the same time. Oh, that's such a problem.
Mm-hmm. And then you're like, haha, it's cute. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying too is like, yes, that happens. And also when that happens, you still are like, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we can let this happen. And also partially, let's not. Like, let's change shirts. Like, let's not actually wear the same outfit to this party. Even though it is funny and silly and cute.
Some stuff was also funny too, where it's like we noticed at a certain point that we also, like, other people started to think we sounded like each other. Like you'd be on the phone and like friends who had known us for years like couldn't tell which one of us was which on the phone, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like we don't sound that much alike. And then they'd be on the phone with us and they're like, you sound exactly alike, and I'm like, that's not real.
Yes, but I do think it's inevitable, and I think it's like part of like becoming a unit. Like a relationship is about two different people who like become a unit. Like there are some things that are like both of you have the same things together, and then there's like should still be some individuality. Like as much as I'm like joking about the codependency and whatever, I feel like it still is important to like have your own personality. Like you don't want to like, I feel like it's a little bit like that have you seen that Broad City episode where she like sleeps with herself basically?
No.
It's like she sleeps with someone who looks exactly like her and has like the exact same mannerisms and everything. And they're like, she's like, it was amazing, like to start. And then she's like, it's actually freaking me the fuck out. She's like,
That's like people, listen, and I know hate lesbians if this is you. I'm just saying it always makes me laugh when people date or marry someone with the same name. Like what you were just saying, the Megan married Megan, right? And like I know that happens, and I think it's the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't know how that works. I'm like, how do you do
I'd be
do that?
so confused.
Yeah.
So confused.
Where do I end and you begin? Who can tell? Who can tell anymore?
Exactly.
I feel like that's when the urge to merge is complete, you know?
When you just legally change your name to your wife's name.
Yeah.
You're like, I didn't change my last name. When we get married, I'm not going to change my last name. I'll change my first name.
I'll change my I'll change them both.
I have become you now. Like, you know, that is the creepy part about it. But I feel like wanting to spend your time together, like inevitably becoming somewhat of the same person. Like, it's just what happens when you spend a lot of time with someone. Right? And that's okay. And also, like, if you like your partner, like, sure, like, I'll pick up some of your mannerisms because, like, I like the way that you talk. I like the way that you are, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like also at a certain point, like, becoming exactly the same person would be boring, right? Like, you want to have, like, some things to talk about that are, like, if you're literally just talking to a mirror all day.
Yeah.
It's like you
talking to a mirror all day. The other thing I will say, because Kelsey and I noticed this during the pandemic, where even for the two of us who love spending time together, want to spend all of our time together, but the thing is we couldn't, because we also had two very young children, like 2 under 2, heading into the early pandemic days, and it's not that we didn't enjoy spending time together anymore, because we still did. You just all of a sudden found that you were like, I have so little to talk to you.
Yeah, like, what can I say to
like,
you?
because there's nothing that I can tell you because you're here for everything.
Yes.
Literally everything that happens to me also happens to you simultaneously. And I have very few stories to share, which is, like a big... Does it sound insane if I say, like, a big part of our conversations when we do finally get to, like, spend all of our time together when we get home is being like, here's everything you missed out on in my time. You need to be caught up on all the events of my life since you weren't there for them.
I think
and we just didn't have that anymore.
Yeah. No, that's not weird at all. Like, that's completely normal.
That's normal.
That's normal.
Totally normal. We are such totally normal stuff. Just we're doing it right, Ellie.
We are. I'm just saying, like, if you're with someone, you want to tell them everything about your life, right? And like they should want to hear it. That's the best. That's exciting, like.
And it is, but the problem is that we would try to do it still.
I want to know what you ate for lunch. Yeah, you're like, but that's it.
Yeah, we would still try to do that, and it's like, what am I going to tell you about? The thing that our kid just did while you were in the room, the movie that we just watched together, the lunch that we shared. And you'd still try and then be like, I was there. And it's like, I know, but I don't have anything else to say.
Please, just pretend. Just pretend you weren't there.
But I just want to tell you about it. Because our lives are uninteresting and there's nothing else to talk about. So here we are. And then, because it was, I mean, that happened even with our friends, right? Like, you'd be like, hey, what's up? I have nothing to share with you.
Nothing.
I have done nothing of note. Nothing interesting has happened to me in the last 6 weeks. And here we are. Here we are again. A good chat, good catch up.
Agreed.
Except for you and I, who always have things to tell.
Yeah, there's never have had things to talk about for 8 years straight.
I truly hope, Ellie, that people appreciate that this is a podcast that we started because you and I talked on the phone so much for so long that we were like, we should be recording this. And here we are, 8 years later,
recording it.
And we still need to talk to each other every week about the dumbest stuff.
Is it dumb though, Lee?
Or is it our urge to merge? Or is it normal and natural? And are we actually just the way friends should be?
Exactly. And like, listeners, can you tell the difference between me and Lee on this podcast?
I wonder that all the time because you know what's funny is when I listen to our show, obviously, I mean, A, because I'm one of the people involved, and B, because I've been listening to us for 8 years. So, yeah, I hope everyone knows how much time Ellie and I have spent listening to our own recorded voices. It's distressing.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot. Not only do we love talking to each other, we love listening to it back.
I don't know about love, but yeah, sure.
We do.
I have to.
We do have to do that. Where was I going with this? I had a point, and
you were
now
saying,
it's gone.
Can people tell the difference between us?
So one of the things that's always funny to me is you ever start listening to a new podcast, and even though you know that they must not sound that much alike, you kind of can't tell. You can't tell who's who for a bit until you sort of get used to them in your head, you know? And I always feel like I assume people who start listening to the podcast must have that experience with you and I, which I think is interesting because our voices are nothing alike.
Are so different
from each other.
Yes. But I don't know. Let's put up a poll. Like, we'll make it one of the Q&As. Could you tell us apart when you first started listening? Yeah. If I start
podcast.
to pretend to be Lee. So, I took Kelsey and the girls to the zoo lights the other day.
And I'm Ellie Brigida.
Could you tell?
Could you tell? Who's who?
Who is
How
who?
tall do I sound? Tell us. We need to know until we start singing, and then
sound?
And then everyone's like, "There's no question. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay."
Do I sound like I have a side shave?
Have I told you I'm thinking of doing a different haircut?
Wow, that's very exciting.
I know it is very exciting. I will get your opinions on it after this.
Yes,
because I am curious what you think. I haven't had a different haircut in a long time.
I'm excited for you.
We're not all you who can just get bangs on a whim, you know.
Yeah, but that was also I had not had a new haircut in a very long time either, so that was a big move for me.
And sometimes you just need a change.
You just do.
I feel like I'm in that place, but I have few options. So we're going to talk. Anyways, we've gotten derailed into just...
Well, I'm just like, also speaking of the lesbian merch, this is just cracking me up. Because I'm like, hypothetically, if me and you were dating...
Okay, oh my God, I love this.
Do you think you would merge more to me? Or I would merge more to you? Like, I feel like there's also always like a... Like, you know how like some people like... their period is so strong that they bring you to their cycle.
Yeah.
I feel like there's maybe it's 50-50. Like maybe people pick up different mannerisms of each other, but I feel like there's sometimes a stronger pull.
Here's what I do think. I have always, and I'm sure people have heard us say this on the show before. I've always thought a great feature of our friendship is that I think you and I have so much in common.
Mm-hmm.
And in the ways that we are so different from each other, we balance each other very well.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Right? Because I think you and I are very similar people in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are the times when we're different, we are like polar extremes from each other.
Yes.
And I love that because I think we have a tendency to then
pull each other to the middle. Yes.
Yes. And I think we naturally sort of find like a middle ground between the two extreme ends that we occupy that I think works well. I feel like in a relationship, I think we would do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like most likely, I think you would slightly win.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a natural.
This is so funny because
even every time I describe us, Ellie, when I describe you, it's up here, and when I describe me, it's always, and I'm down here, and then we meet in the middle. But I think that it's
I mean, I think I have more extreme personality swings.
You're just a person who's hard to pull down too far.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
You cannot. Do not pull me down.
I would never.
And nobody in all of us. Sorry. What was I going to say? But the funny thing is when I asked that question too, I think that you're correct. And I was really thinking specifically about our hair and how funny it would be.
Oh, yeah.
If we started to date and I cut my hair to look exactly like you.
I honestly would pay money. I would pay money to see you with a short haircut.
I would die laughing if like all of a sudden I'm wearing the like lesbian sweater you have on and just have a completely like gay haircut. Like, it would be so funny.
Like I have a very good mind's eye. Okay, like you know sometimes you read things like with people who can't, like, don't have like an internal picture. There's a name for it, and I'm blanking on the name for it right now. I don't have that. Like, I have an extremely extremely good mind's eye. I cannot for the life of me picture you with short haircut.
I know.
You know what the only thing I can picture is kind of like in a Harry Potter musical when she had the Draco Malfoy wig.
Yes.
I feel like the most I can picture is like the equivalent of you in like a red version of that wig. If I try to picture you in a short haircut, that's what happens in my brain.
That is so funny.
It's extremely detailed. It's an extremely realistic representation of what you would look like in an insane like pixie cut wig.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wait,
I can't see it.
That is so funny. Well, because also my hair is so big.
I'm gonna legitimately find like a short redhead and Photoshop it onto your head so that we can all visualize something finally together.
Yeah, we need to see it together. I agree. I'm really loving where this episode has brought us.
To me, photoshopping a short haircut and glasses onto you so that you and I can urge to merge as friends more effectively.
Exactly.
I love this for us. And once again, listeners, we are normal and this is healthy.
Exactly. We're removing the shame from the urge to merge.
Let's all merge a little more, actually, is what we're saying here.
Every single lesbian in the world, merge
you and you're
just
welcome.
a little closer to Lee.
Incredible.
Amazing.
We've really nailed it.
We have nailed it. I will say, okay, before we wrap up, to go back to this TikTok, the funny thing about this first TikTok that I posted, and I want our listeners to chime in on this, is I watched the TikTok and then I was like, I have to go into the comment section. And the comment section of this TikTok was a bunch of lesbians who were like, yep. So I feel like we all do it. So let's just be okay with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were like, I spent every day with my wife of 15 years and I'm happy as hell. You know what I mean? It's like, we're happy doing it. So be happy.
Embrace who we are.
Embrace your codependence. Embrace your urge to merge. Buy the matching sweaters. Do it.
Get the same haircut. Legally change your name to each other's.
And let us know how much you have merged with your girlfriend. We'd love to hear it. All right, here we go. We're going to do our Q and Gay.
Q and Gay.
Question number 1, Lee. Do people mistake you and your partner for sisters? A, yes. B, no, but they mistake us for mother and daughter. C, no.
Okay. Here's the thing.
I know. Mother and son. Mother and son.
A, yes. B, we have gotten mother and son now, and it is not Kelsey's favorite story. And this question's an attack.
I'm so sorry.
But yes, no, and I've told you the story, right? Of the man who had to show us our licenses to be like, no, you're sisters. Like, look at how alike you look. And I'm like, sir, we're right here.
We're
and
here.
also, we know that we are not related to each other. So what?
Literally so.
Anyways, people be crazy out there. Okay, question 2, Ellie. How long did it take you to turn into your partner? A, 1 day. B, 1 week. C, 1 month. Or D, 1 year?
I feel like I didn't also put like, I never turned into my partner because sorry, you know you are. I'm going to say.
You're all lying.
I'm going to say B, 1 week.
That's fair.
Yeah, mostly because we're already so similar anyways. So it is what it is.
Minus the 12 inches of height. You know?
Yeah. All right. Question number 3, Lee. How many hours a week is the ideal amount of time to spend with your partner? A, 10, B, 40, C, 120, or D, all of them?
I mean, listen, the ideal amount of time, I want to say all of them. But,
Mhm.
like, a healthy amount of time, the realistic part of me wants to say, like, 120 is good.
Yeah.
40 is insane, and 10 is like, why are you even bothering?
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
Good. Good
Okay.
answer, Lee.
Good. And anyone who disagrees, you're wrong.
You're
Like,
wrong.
10 hours a week?
I
It's like
know.
2 hours a day.
I know. It's like one.
What's even the point?
It's like 1 date a week.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
1 day. It's 1 10-hour date a
One
week.
10-hour date.
Okay, question 4. We have to know. Can you tell the difference between Ellie and Lee's voices? A, I couldn't at first. B, yes, they're so different. Or C, nope, they're the same person to me.
I mean, you're asking me the question. It's like, obviously, yes, they're so different. But I am so curious to see what you all think.
I really am too.
Who's talking right now? Is it me? Is it Lee? You'll never know.
Who am I? Who am I?
Who am I?
It's also funny because I feel like you do have a voice where if I was going to try to sound more like you, I don't know what I would do with my voice to sound more like you. We just have very different
It's so
like
different.
timbres to our voice. Like we just have
Yes.
very different sounds to me. I'm like, I don't think I could emulate it
Well,
somehow.
Yeah, yours is much more nasally than mine, so I'd have to figure that out.
Don't say that. That's awful.
What? It is.
I know it is, but I hate that about my voice. So let's not say it.
No, I was gonna try to imitate you, but I can't.
No.
Right now, I feel like for me, you just had to sound like you have a cold
Mm.
and a little deep. You know, it's
Yeah.
deeper. It's a deeper voice.
Yeah, you and I are both at our best right now.
I know. But also, if you do a good Ellie and Lee impersonation, send us your voice memos, please. Question number 5, Lee. What have you done with your partner that straight people would never do? A, gone to the gyno. B, mowed the lawn. C, cook. Or D, pee. Use the bathroom
Okay,
together.
define what you mean by peeing.
I mean,
Are we talking like the L word scene, or are we talking like
no,
peeing in the same room?
I feel like it's like peeing in the same room. Yeah, not peeing on top of each other not sitting on top
Okay,
of each other while
listen.
you're peeing.
Our biggest struggle in life, especially after many years of a pandemic where no one was ever in our house, our biggest struggle in life is ever remembering to close a bathroom door when other people are in our house.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Can I tell you, this is going to be the gayest fucking story ever.
Okay,
You'll love this,
I
Ellie.
can't
Okay,
wait.
here's the gayest story ever. Not only, I mean, we've been together for 17 years.
Mhm.
Like, yes, we pee in front of
Of
each
course,
other.
yeah.
But not only that, it's actually one of the things that we do that secretly is like deeply meaningful and warms my heart.
That you pee together?
Because this is why this is the gayest story
Oh,
ever.
God.
Because Kelsey has a notoriously shy bladder to the
Mm.
point that when we started dating, so Kelsey did a dual degree at Dartmouth, right? So her junior year, she was at Dartmouth, and then a 5th year she was at Dartmouth. And her first year at Dartmouth, when we had we had just started dating, and she had a room, she and her roommate, it was like a weird dorm room setup where it was like you walked in, there was like one bedroom and it had a bathroom off of it, just like a toilet, right? Like a little half bath, and then a door, and then Kelsey's room, right? So it
Yes.
had like kind of 2 bedrooms, and one of them had the bathroom. So her roommate had the bathroom. So when we started dating, if I was in Kelsey's bedroom
Yes.
with a doorway between us and then a closed door to a toilet, she could not always consistently like pee if I
Oh
was
my
there.
God.
And so now I'm like, look at how far we've come.
You're
Look at the growth.
you're
Look at how close we are.
Oh my God. Look at your bladder loves me.
Yes, it does. And that is love. Anyways, that's, I think, of the correct way to end this fucking episode.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I was like,
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm like, do you want me to add also the gyno?
Yes, please. Oh my God. Let's both end with our insanity. Ellie.
Yeah, so-
let's do it. There's no clearer ending to this episode than us being just continuing to put ourselves on blast. Here we go.
Yes. Okay, so I had been dating Bailey for maybe 2 weeks. But to be fair, we've been friends for 2 years, so
Mm-hmm.
context. But she had to go to the gyno, and originally I was like, all right, I'll go home. And then like maybe like 30 minutes before she was supposed to go, she was like, do you want to just come with me? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Like super fast. Like, yeah, okay, we'll go to the gyno.
Yeah, obviously.
And by that, I don't mean like go to the gyno, like, okay, I waited in the waiting room while she
I'll
went
wait in the waiting room. I'll read a magazine.
No. I'm in the room while she is quite literally getting a pap smear. I didn't look. I felt like that was a little too invasive.
Yeah, sure. It might be uncomfortable for the doctor, you know?
Yeah. But we asked the doctor, we were like, how often do people do this? And she's like, sometimes.
Incredible.
She's like, quite rarely, but it does happen. And I was like, are all of those other people lesbians?
Yeah, right. That's the real question you want to ask. We all know it.
But yeah, I felt very close to her after that. So,
well, listen, our significant others are going to have a real blast listening to this episode.
I know. I can't wait. The only two.
So sorry.
The only two people to listen to this
Kelsey
episode.
and Bailey.
Love you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Remember, listeners, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Instagram at Lez Hang Out Pod.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from all of you. We love continuing to build this community. So we just want to shout out some of our favorite things every episode. And this week, we want to shout out Bonnie, who's one of our patrons, who had some comments about our art gallery episode with Juno Rosenhaus, saying that it was so cool to hear about, which, yes, that was basically our take on Juno as well, is like how cool that you're doing this, that you just built this like queer art community. And who also, Bonnie loved the conversation about the word dyke. So if you haven't listened yet, check it out. We had a great time with Juno. What a cool person.
Just so fucking cool. Oh my God. As always, I want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Lizette Stye,
Adi Benitez,
Sophia Phillips,
and Armani Gucci.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen.
And Andrea Doucette, thank you so much. We could not continue to make this show without you.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Lez Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com. We got a really, really great fan email that I shouted out last week. So we love to hear from you on the emails. It really warms our heart.
You can also check out our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use for podcasts, make sure you subscribe so you'll be the first to know when new episodes drop.
We also have videos going up on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/lezhangoutpod to catch those.
Lez Hang Out is an independently produced show hosted by us with audio production by me. Our production assistant is Kristen Murison, and other podcasting shenanigans by Lee Holmes Foster.
If you want to help support the podcast, the first thing you can do, leave us a rating and a review on whatever app you use to listen to podcasts. It helps new people find the show.
If you want to join our Patreon, we have all kinds of bonus episodes up there for you, and our Patreon-only Discord. You can join at bit.ly/lespatreon. Our patrons single-handedly help us fund this show, so we cannot emphasize how important it is to, if you love the show, help us and support us on Patreon.
If you want to get some Lez Hang Out merch, all of our designs these days are going up on our new store on our website. We have all of our cool Christmas designs up right now, but we're going to be rolling out some new stuff. We are really getting into all of the new products that we have available. So keep an eye out. You can find them all at bit.ly/lesmerch.
And remember, we have a queer production company making queer podcast musicals with guaranteed happy endings that you can find everywhere at $beanprod.
You can also check out our website, dollarbeanproductions.com.
You can listen to all the episodes of our first show, The Flame, on any podcasting app. And our second show, Journey to the Heart, also on all podcasting apps.
And if you want to help support us in making more musicals, you can join our Patreon at bit.ly/dollarbeanpatreon.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find me at Ellie Brigida on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
You can find me at LSH Foster on Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok.
With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee.
And
let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Laureau, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth. Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.